For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Dunk. I'm Head of Engineering at Energy Networks Association, and I'll be chairing this session. So, the energy networks are going through an unprecedented change at the moment. I think we all realise that. To do that, we need a lot more control over the network. It used to be we'd have generation, transmission networks, distribution networks, end user, the customer, you, me, commercial premises. It's no longer like that. We're starting to get feedback up the network by EV, vehicle to grid, by domestic generation, generations sneaking in on distribution networks as well. Ooh, oh, where did that come from? And it's really starting to kind of move things around. It's no longer a linear thing. It's starting to come back at us, if you like. And in order to have that control, we need to bring that granular control down into the networks, which means we need a lot more equipment on that network. And it's not enough for that equipment to be switched on and off. We now need to communicate with that bit of equipment out there. Say, are you switched on? How are you doing? Which way are the power flows going? Oh, there's an emergency, you need to shut off straight away. In order to do that, and what comes with all those devices, what comes with all of that information is a lot of data transfer, a lot of movement around. And this is why we've been talking about spectrum and enhanced spectrum access. And it's what Paddy will be talking about shortly when he comes on the screen. It's more than that though. I mean, we're looking at opening up our networks, opening up the data. Everybody's heard about open data, the digitalisation of the networks, allowing people to have access to that information that's out there. But it's not only that, it's the control of what's feeding into the networks. There's a communication between generators, wind farms for example, feeding into the network saying we are generating now, we are doing this. And what we need to do is to make sure that those interconnectors, those connections with external suppliers, with generators, with customers, are secure. And it's without it, we open up ourselves to a network that is vulnerable. Now, I say that, it's no longer we're tapping into wires like perhaps you see Oceans 11, 20 odd years ago. It's now can be done from Ian's laptop. You could be sitting there, putting together a devious plan while one hit's standing here waffling at you. And because of that, we need to start to look at cybersecurity. Now, again, we've got some people talking about cybersecurity shortly, but it comes down to the fact that we all need to be aware of what the risks are and where those risks are coming from. And it's not just the hostile actors, the guys, the Russians, the Ukrainian type attacks where they try and bring down a whole system. A hostile actor will look at how the network operates. It will start to sort of communicate with the EV chargers, the electric vehicles out there. Say, you should all charge now, and we start to overload the network. Or you should all discharge now. Again, you start to overload the network, and you start to put that in peril. But it's not just the network; it's the suppliers, it's how the customers work with you, it's the smart appliances just the other side of the meter we're not always sure about. So that's really kind of what we're opening ourselves up to. And it's not a bad thing. It gives the customer control, which is what all this is about. It's what we're changing the networks for the customer to feel empowered into how they manage their households, how they manage their factories. Can they do it in a different way? And they do it in a way that helps us limit their costs or minimise their costs, certainly for the foreseeable future, certainly for the next regulatory period. But the UK shouldn't be doing this on its own. It shouldn't be relying on its own internal resources for development of the network, for protecting that network. It needs to look beyond our seas, if you like, and the international, what's happening abroad, what's happening in Ireland, in Spain, in America, and to really kind of pick up the good points, but also identify all the bad points, and to use those in sort of influencing government and regulators, as we talked about just a moment ago, but also to drive forward that innovation and to sort of really kind of push us towards a period where we can bring in low carbon generation, we can rely on it, and we can deliver that net zero target that we're all being pushed towards.